I'm now excited to be joined by a very special guest. It is Tennessee legend Jalin Hyatt, current New York Giants receiver. This is the third time that you've joined the show, and every single time, even dating back to when you were in college, we've been talking about the single most obvious partnership in human history. Jalin Hyatt, World of Hyatt, the last name and the company. It was always going to be a relationship that was going to happen. Tell us about the latest that you got going on with them.
But yeah,
No,
this
you're
is this
good.
is my third year, with Hyatt. Man, it's been a great partnership. Definitely my favorite. Just because of everything that we kind of have envisioned, and what we want to do. It's my favorite hotel, obviously. But not only that, it's because of how they treat their customers. What they do with their hotels and with their resorts. I think we share that commitment of, prioritizing the well-being and, always being there for their customers. And not only that, I mean, I've been to a lot of Hyatt resorts, a lot of Hyatt hotels, and just from a hotel aspect, I mean, they treat their customers so well, and that's something I wanted to be a part of, and I want to continue to build this.
They probably have a picture of you just behind every front desk of every Hyatt hotel, just in case you walk in, right?
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Let's start with all things Tennessee. Last time you were on, I hate to bring this up. It was right before the playoff game. You were not alone in thinking that the Vols had a good shot against Ohio State. And then, Jeremiah Smith happened, and it didn't help that Tennessee players were just dropping like flies in that game. What was harder, watching that game or having to show up in the locker room the next day?
I think both. Both of us hard. I really wanted my Vols to win. I know Hype dialed up a good game plan, but like you said, the players they had over there at Ohio State, I know it was difficult. And obviously we got some players here, in the Giants locker room, that had Ohio State over Tennessee, and I was telling them, nah, we're gonna win this, and they had a lot to say, after the game. But I'm really excited to see what they'll do this year. Just to see, what Coach Hype and what he's going to bring, with the new quarterback that came in, with Nico leaving. So it's going to be fun to watch. They have a hard schedule this year, but I think they'll get it done. It'll be a good year for them.
What'd you make of the Nico drama that played out this offseason?
Yeah, obviously, it's hard because I really like Nico, as a quarterback and really as a player. I met him before I left for the draft. Time he got there, I met him, and all that, he had a good year, his first year, and just with NIL and a whole bunch of things that's going on in college football. I can't really speak on what he wanted to do, or what was the background towards that decision that he made, but. Um, just I really wanted him to be there, but now it's football, so you got to find the next man up, and I know Coach Hype, he's very very good at figuring out his quarterbacks, figuring out who he wants to call his offense, and it's gonna be fun to watch and to see what how it pans out.
It was early in the NIL era when you were in college and guys were still figuring that out. And, like your partnership, that was one of those things that over the course of the season that plays out and you get these opportunities that are presented to you. And it's going to feel a lot different now with the way that these contracts are constructed, where it seems like there's a lot more front end type stuff and renegotiating and all that. Did your team endure any of that with the NIL drama? Was there any of that stuff internally of, hey, this guy's getting this and we don't think he's worth this? Or like, how did you guys settle that to make sure that wasn't something that ever saw the light of day for people like us in the media?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in college, like you said, it kind of just started. NIL kind of just started, so nobody really had a pinpoint on, with contracts and a lot of things that's going on now in football. So it was a little different, but time I left, and 2 years after, seeing how college football kind of unfolded with NIL, and how it's kind of taken over college football. It's definitely been completely different. Just with everything. And we never, when I was there at Tennessee, we never really, at that time, really got in depth with NIL just because of how early it was. And nowadays, it's blowing up, and everybody has this deal, or contract here, contract there. Just the biggest thing. I just hope it just doesn't take the love out of college football, the love of why you want to go to this team, why you want to go to this university, because at the end of the day, it's not really about the money. It's really about why you want to go to that university, what made you want to go to Tennessee, or what made you want to go here. And I just hope that this doesn't take the love, for the players, the college players that's there now, just not trying to search for money, actually, love the university that they're at. And that's what we did when, we was at the University of Tennessee.
I don't think I've ever asked you this, but what was it that sold you on Tennessee? Because so many different iterations of Tennessee have unfolded over the course of the last 15, 20 years. And I got to imagine there were a lot of different things that you had to consider with that process. But like, what was it that really said, I just feel like I'm such a fit here and this is where I belong?
Yeah, before I committed to Tennessee, I was actually committed to Virginia Tech. And during that process, at that time, it was Jeremy Pruitt as our head coach. T. Martin was our receivers coach at that time before he took the job for the Ravens. When I committed, Coach T. Martin, he always called me even after I committed to Virginia Tech. He called me. He's like, "Man, we need you here. We need you here. We need you here." And over time, he just sold me. He sold me on it. He sold me just with how the University of Tennessee, with the fans, the game day experience, the SEC vibes of playing college football. Everybody wants to be in the SEC, and not only that, I felt like just with Tennessee at that time, you know. Once they wanted to be great, I knew what Tennessee can bring out. And my junior year when we played, I mean, it showed. Just with fans. I remember going to, we had a game against LSU over there in Baton Rouge, and it was just all orange. And things like that is the reason on why you want to go to the University of Tennessee or schools like that, just based off just the love of the game. Even when I was on campus there, at the University of Tennessee, I had so many people come up to me just because of football and what Tennessee brings out of that. And that's why I always tell everybody, the young guys who, gets recruited by Tennessee, or anybody who, kind of thinking about going to the University of Tennessee, I always bring out the fans, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. That's what gets you going on game days. It's nothing better than 7:30, primetime game, going out there, going out, out on the tee, and you just see 102 or 103, however much is in that stands, and it just brings out adrenaline, brings out the best of you. And that was one of the biggest reasons on why I wanted to go to Tennessee.
How different are Jeremy Pruitt and Josh Heupel?
Very different. Very different. The reason why I say that is because Pruitt's a more defensive minded coach, defensive minded head coach. And then you have Coach Hype, who's more of an offensive minded head coach. So we have an offensive minded and a defensive minded head coaches. They're completely different on practice structure, game day structure. And it's nothing better than having an offensive head coach, that's there, that believes in you, and, that gets us going. So that's probably the biggest difference.
I was going to say one knows what asparagus is, one doesn't know what asparagus is, but that's a different story. Hey, had you seen two-a-days before Pruitt started recruiting you?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Had you seen the show Two-A-Days on MTV back in the day before Pruitt started
I
recruiting
haven't.
you?
I haven't. No, sir. No, sir.
YouTube it.
Yeah, I
YouTube it.
will. I will. I definitely will now. I definitely will.
All this drama that Tennessee had with the Nico situation, and if I don't know how much you've been following like the Boo Carter situation, but there's been these things that have happened over the course of the year with Tennessee that makes you feel like, oh man, there's a lot that's unfolding here. I kind of come back to Heupel being the perfect guy to handle all that. What makes him the ideal person in a job that, for whatever reason, just always cultivates chaos?
One thing about Hype that I love about him is he has a backbone, and the reason why I say that is because it's his way or no way. And if you want to be a part of what's his plan, if you want to be a part of his journey on getting you better, he will get the best out of you, the best version out of you, and that's one thing that he always demands every day. And if you're not a part, if you don't want to be a part of that, if you kind of want to do your own thing, if you kind of want to, I don't really want to do this, Coach Hype, you're not going to be there long. Coach Hype is very, very demanding on doing it with his plan and his way. And not only that, we seen it work. We seen his vision. And that's why I hope the people, the players that's there now, they stay committed to that because Coach Hype, he's very, very experienced, and not only that, he has a lot of contacts, close contacts that helps him that do that. And I love Coach Polk, that's still there, the receiver coach. He helped me. Tremendous respect for him just for how he helped me, throughout my career when he was there, especially my junior year, going into my junior year. And they have the right coaches in the building, they have the right players in the building. They just have to bring it all together, and that's one thing Coach Hype is very good at, is bringing the whole team together. Even when one person or two people, want to do their own thing, he's gonna get everybody back to the Tennessee way, and that's one thing I respect about him.
Did you ever have any thought about transferring after your sophomore year?
Uh,
That's a yes.
at that time, like you said, I didn't play a lot my sophomore year. It was, Bayless Jones was in the slot at that time. And at that time it was all, oh, transfer portal, transfer portal. And I never forget, I went to Coach Hype's office one day. I wasn't going up there to transfer or anything, just went up to talk. And he told me his vision that he seen that next year, with him and Hooker, with Bayless Jones leaving, with Javante Payton leaving, with said the vision that he told me. He was like, look, if you do your job, if you get the playbook down, you do your job, and you do it at a high level, this is what I envision. And it came to life, and I seen it with my own eyes. And that's why I have so much respect for Coach Hyatt, because he's not just thinking about this year, but he's thinking about 4 years down the line, 3 years, 5 years down the line. And that's what makes him a great coach, just because of how smart he is. And, I was just blessed for the opportunity to play for
And if you had gotten that answer that day saying, "Hey man, I don't really think you're a fit in this offense,"
him.
then that's when that starts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If I went in the office and he told me, "Look, man, we don't really see you here," and then it might have been a different story.
Yeah, but then he tells you, "Oh, you're actually going to win the Bolitnikoff Award next year, and you're going to be a huge reason why we beat Alabama. So just stick around; it'll be fine." So you went through an offseason transformation. How much weight did you put on, and how did you do it?
Yeah, it was very, very hard. I played about 172, 173 last year. Now, about, 187, kind of lost weight now just because we're in training camp, but about 187, 188. So, I put on some good muscle. That was really the biggest thing that I wanted to do this year, just because I knew, I was going to play more on the outside. And I'm going to go against more physical corners, in this league. And like I said, in Tennessee, I was a slot. So, I kind of had more space. I had space to work what I had to do. But here it's more bang bang play. So, I just wanted to get more physical, in that aspect. And that's something that I try my best to work on this upcoming year going to training camp. So far everything's been good. It's just what I need to do is just maintain the weight, maintain, the physical, being physical. So that's the biggest thing I'm working on.
Is it hard for you to maintain weight?
I'm a easy. Look, I burn a lot of calories, and for me, I can eat 3, 4 meals and go out run, and then the scale won't go up, at all. So for me, it was just really more of being consistent, consistency with meals, with calories, with protein. So that was the biggest thing I had to get right with. And I had to get with a chef and plan my meals out, not just junk food or junk meals. I had to actually get the right protein, get the right carbohydrates. So that was the biggest thing I really had to learn going into this year.
What does the daily diet look like for you right now?
In the morning, I'm a over easy egg type guy. I like the over easy eggs, sausage, bacon, and then usually during that lunch period, protein with carbs. So either it's steak, either it's chicken, rice, anything that especially with rice with being the carbs, just to get me going more. Dinner, same thing. Something, nothing that's too much on your body, something that's gonna lean you out, while you're gaining weight. So just trying to focus on that.
Is it like a specific calorie count that you feel like you want to hit in a specific day? Or you just tracking macros with like protein, carbs, like fat content, all that?
I did. I kind of let my chef do all that as far as hitting the right numbers. For me, it's just the plate's ready and I just eat it. You know what I mean? But my chef has all that figured out.
Was there a moment, a realization, something that happened that made you think, I want to bulk up a little bit. Even it's something like, Malik's emergence last year, Malik Neighbors, who became obviously an outstanding part of your team and such a key part of your receiver room, like him being able to play in the slot as much. You talk about
Yep.
knowing that you're going to be playing outside more. Was there a specific instance that it kind of clicked for you, like, I should probably play at a different weight than I've played it in my entire career?
Yeah, I think for me, just really when I have the ball in my hands, making people miss, breaking tackles, not letting the first defender take you down, was really the biggest. And not only that, with contested catches, when it's bang bang plays, when the ball's in the air and you run in the end breaker and the DB collapses and it's a bang bang play going up for the ball. That comes down to strength, that comes down to hand strength, that comes down to obviously being focused, but just being physical, at the ball point. And just looking at my film last year and talking to coaches last year, up here with Dave's, that's something that I felt like, okay, this is something in this area we need to work on. Bang bang plays, contested catches, running after the catch, the yak yards, not letting the first guy bring you down. So, that's kind of what I want to show more this year.
What are your early impressions of Jackson Dart so far?
I love him. I love him. I told Dart, I said, man, you should have went to Tennessee. Yeah, I told her he would have went crazy at Tennessee. I knew, if he went to Tennessee, Coach Height would have loved him. But man, he's a great player. Just as a work standpoint, how he comes into the building. He's a very, very smart player. That's the first thing I noticed about him. How smart he is. He learned his playbook very, very quickly. And not only that, I mean, when he goes out there, you can tell he has the confidence. He's throwing deep balls. Me and him actually connected, in day 2 in training camp, on the go ball. And right before the play, we're in the huddle. He's telling me, "Look, Hyatt, I'm throwing to you." And I knew the ball was coming, and he threw a beautiful back shoulder, and that just brings out the confidence in him. And I think he's just gonna continue to get better. This is year 1 for him. He's gonna be a very, very good player. For him, it's just keeping his confidence high and just watching Russ. Watching how Russ deals with what he does, and taking little things from him and putting into his game. But I think Jackson Dart's gonna be a very great player, very good player.
Do you have a Jameis Winston story yet?
And,
That's a yes too.
everybody asks me that. Everybody asks me that. Nothing. I'll say this: nothing crazy yet. Nothing crazy yet. But I know sooner or later it will happen. I know, and then when I do, you'll hear it first. You have my word.
That first Jameis pregame pep talk is going to be
Oh man, that,
electric.
that's that's really what I'm waiting for. That's really what I'm waiting for.
How fun, another, speaking of new additions to your team, how fun is Cam Scattaboo?
I love Scat. He's gonna be a very good player. I mean, he's very confident. I met him time he came in for OTAs. That was the first day I met him, and I brought up his game that he had. I think it was as in the bowl game. I brought that up, and but I mean, I'm very impressed with him. I mean, he has very, very good hands, out the backfield. That's one thing I was impressed about. But not only that, I mean, we were just in pads the other day and just seeing how he gets low, how he runs under his pads and how one guy really just doesn't bring him down. He's a bowling ball back there, and he's gonna be a very good player for us.
I think he can throw too. That's the
Oh,
crazy thing.
we might have to put him on a little double pass, huh?
Yeah, you got like five guys you got to get on the
Yeah.
same page with throwing the football. Jalen, last one for you. How often do you close your eyes and just daydream about Alabama's coverage on you in 22?
I they stayed in cover 4. That Coach Hype, when we were game planning against him, that's something that Saban does. He loves the quarters. He loves quarters. And only thing with quarters is you gotta have the players to be able to guard if you're gonna be in quarters. And they kept coming downhill. They kept coming downhill, and the first 2 ones was easy for me. But after that, they try to start getting into some man, but that's not gonna work either. So I mean, Coach Hype, he had it all figured out. That's why I say that if you have the vision, if the players believe in Coach Hype, they believe in what he wants to do, that team can go as far as they want to because I mean he's so smart and knowing the coverage, knowing what they're in already, and changing it pre-snap and just letting your quarterback and your receiver play ball. And that's one thing that he does so well. And I just can't wait to see what they do this year.
So like 3 times a day. That's plenty. Yeah, I would. I definitely would. Uh, Jalin, on behalf of World of Hyatt, really appreciate the time. Best of luck with everything this year, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you.